Welcome to the EarthWorks Podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon with many of the turf friends we've met over the past 35 years.
Hello all, and welcome to the EarthWorks Podcast. This week, I'm your host, Jack Higgins, and I've got the pleasure of sitting down with Jeff Eckert and Megan Couch here at Liberty Hall. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you're hosting me, and I'm hosting you on the podcast, so it works out perfect. Let's kind of talk about where we're sitting here and like what we got. Jeff, you're the director of buildings and grounds here. How long have you been here?
I'll be here 28 years in October.
Holy cow, dude. I remember you told me that you were, that you were here a while, but yeah, you've spent a career here.
Yep.
Megan, how long have you been here?
I've been here for 8 years now.
Okay, so you two been together for 8 years. You're like a real old school team.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
All right. And it's kind of just the two of you, or is there a bigger crew than this?
We have a part-time, he's a retired arborist, so he just came on this past year. He's been great, Mike Stone. He's been helping us out when he can. But other than that, no, it's just the two of us.
Yes. And how big is this property that you take care of?
So right now it's it was 26 acres when the university built their building here. Now we're down to 12 acres is considered the historic precinct.
Okay. 12 acres
that's what we're working with.
Yeah, of the Liberty Hall, 1772. So when we were talking history kind of in our preamble, walking around the property, and I started asking a bunch of specific questions about like the history, you said, how about we get Kayla in on the conversation?
Yep.
So yeah, Kayla, we're going to sub that bit in here because she's got like the whole in-depth history of the family, the property, everything like that. And then we can bounce back and chat more plants. Kayla, thanks for joining the conversation here. Because as I understand, you're kind of expert in the history of the property.
Kinda.
Okay, cool. So, well, what is your role here?
So I'm the Curator of Archives here at Liberty Hall Museum. So I take care of anything that's paper related from the Kean and Livingston family. So that includes ledgers, diaries, correspondences, books, pamphlets, photographs, you name it. We probably have it somewhere here on the property. So right now I'm actually going through our archive and kind of reorganizing it to make it more accessible to the public. So hopefully one day in the near future, people can come and do research here.
Whoa. All right. Yeah. So this is like an archive, like they can access. Let's dial it back to who are the Kean family? Who are the Livingston family? Where are we standing? How old is this?
So the property itself dates all the way back to the early 1700s. We are on Lenape land.
Okay.
So Native Americans were here, and then eventually when European settlers were coming, a guy by the name of Charles Townley, he had a one-room, one-kitchen home on this property here. And then in 1760, William Livingston decided he wanted to retire as a lawyer in New York and kind of settle in the countryside. So he bought the land first, started growing things on the land, and then he built his house starting in 1772, and it was completed in 1774. So he moves his entire family from New York to here, and they live here with their children.
Gentleman farmer types.
Gentleman farmer type, yeah. So he went from this aristocratic founding father person to over here wanting to be a gentleman farmer. But then the American Revolution breaks out, and he's like, I actually support the patriot cause. So he actually hides in various places in New Jersey because the British look for him.
Okay, so this was like a prominent
Actually, this
house.
whole area, Union, was pretty much part of the American Revolution. If you look in various other points of Union, a lot happened here.
Okay, in terms of like rebels, this was the Patriots area,
Yes,
stronghold.
yes and no, and then you also have the British in New York. So they would actually come here and storm inside the house looking for Livingston, but it was just his wife and children that were here when they would come, but he was usually in hiding. What's cool is that we have correspondences between Livingston during the war saying, like, you know, we need help. We have a couple of letters from Washington. So we have like that nice
He
little...
was older by this point, I imagine.
Livingston...
He wasn't like at fighting
No,
age.
No. But he was the general of the New Jersey militia. So like kind of...
Yeah, okay.
But
more administration, sort of.
Yeah. But then he becomes New Jersey's first elected governor. So
All
while he's
right.
being the general, he's like, you know what, I'm going to run for governor. And back then, people didn't have trust in the government, hence why the American Revolution. So they had 1-year terms. So he was reelected every year from 1776 to the day he died in 1790.
Wow.
So
was this where was the governor? Was it in Trenton? Was he kind of running government up here?
Kinda. Off the top of my head, I can't remember that.
All right.
But his family...
I stumped Kayla.
Yeah, you stumped me. I'm like, I'm not good with my Livingston stuff. Once I get to like the Victorian era, I kind of like know a little bit more. But Livingston,
Okay.
I don't remember where the government was during that time, but his family was here. This was their full-time residence.
And Jeff mentioned in terms of botany history, some of the early trees that are here that was like...
Yeah, so one of William Livingston's daughters,
Okay.
Susan, who I kind of have an interest in because she ran her father's finances, which is kind of ahead of the time for women back then because they weren't typically reading or writing, but Livingston wanted his daughters to be educated. She actually planted the horse chestnut tree outside the front of our house.
You've had me there before. Yeah.
Yes. So we're very proud of that tree. I always talk about it on tours that I give. I'm like, look how cool this tree is.
So she planted this tree when she was like...
It's actually before the house was even built. It was planted in 1770. So it predates our government, predates our country.
It's really awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, founding father stuff. And I didn't know that Livingston was the first governor of New Jersey.
First elected governor. So the people chose him.
That's right.
And then now I think governors serve like 4-year terms or something like that.
4-year terms, yeah.
Yeah, so it just shows.
And they were
how
doing it every year.
Yeah, doing it every year. You would have to vote.
I was born in Livingston too, by the way, over at St. Barnabas.
There you go. So your town is named after Livingston.
Right. I was only born. I only know it from filling out paperwork because it's just where the hospital was.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's really interesting. Now, how do the Keans get involved? Because Kean's also another founding father name in New Jersey. Like, did both these guys sign the Declaration of Independence?
So William Livingston doesn't sign the Declaration of Independence. There's a little like legend behind that. His wife, he was at both Continental Congresses,
okay,
but his wife fell ill, so he came back from Philadelphia to be with her because he didn't know what was going to happen. So
sure,
he actually misses out on signing the Declaration of Independence, but he does sign the Constitution.
Excellent.
So he's on that document. So kind of getting the Keans into it. So we go all the way back to John Kean, 1755. There are several generations of John Kean, so that's how I differentiate them.
Okay, got it.
So John Kean, we'll call him the first. So he's primarily down in South Carolina and Georgia. So he was a merchant. He owned plantations, and he had enslaved people doing the work on those plantations. So we do have some documents of about the enslaved people here, which is great to have that history.
Yeah, for sure.
And be able to show it. So he meets this woman named Susan Livingston, and Susan is actually the niece of William Livingston.
Got it. Okay.
So they get married, and they have one son named Peter. Unfortunately, John Kean, he gets sick a lot and he ends up passing away in Philadelphia in 1795. Susan, she can't be a single lady with a child, so she marries Peter's tutor, Julian. He's a Polish count. So they get married.
He's a Polish count.
Yes,
Oh
a Polish
my-
count.
Okay.
So they get married, and in 1811, she sees her uncle's property up for sale because after William Livingston dies in 1790, none of his kids wanted to like live here because it was very rural, which is hard to believe today because it's a very urban area. But you know, they wanted to go back to the city, have that city life. So in 1798, it gets sold. It goes to 3 outside owners, and then eventually Susan sees it up for sale in 1811. She's like, I'm gonna buy it.
Yes, thank you,
Because
Susan.
Woman can't buy property. She sends her son Peter down to purchase it in like her name.
Okay. Peter was her son from John.
Yes.
But also he had the Polish count tutor.
Yeah. So,
Who was handsome, I hear. That's a joke.
Honestly.
That's a joke.
And like I kind of feel bad for Susan because the Polish count actually goes back to Poland.
Oh, what the heck?
Because Napoleon decides, you know, to go and conquer the world. So he has to go and settle things over there. And then they write love letters to each other for about like 20 years back and
Oh.
forth.
Really cool.
Hmm. And then from there, unfortunately, her son Peter like passes on around the same age that his father did, like in his 30s, so really early.
Yikes.
He was also very sick as a kid, and Susan puts it in a trust for her grandson, the son of Peter and his wife Sarah. We call him Colonel John Kean.
Okay.
So when he turns, I think 26, he was able to acquire the property when he became of age.
So this is now Colonel John, who's an adult in the what time period?
So like 1830s.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're getting towards the Civil War time.
So it's actually interesting talking about the Civil War. I have 2 interns working with me, and we actually found a cool document pertaining to the Civil War describing like the first battle of the Civil War. And I'm like, we're gonna, you know, tell someone about this, and we put it on our board of things that we found. So speaking of the Civil War, we found that document. It's just like describing what happened at the battle and saying like he wanted to like leave the area.
Oh yeah. Why they never wound up here, but I guess
No.
like they were nervous.
Yeah.
Everyone was scared.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But Colonel, he's interesting because he was a businessman and he invested in a lot of different things. So he was interested in the railroad. He's the one that creates the Elizabethtown Gas Company, which is still around today, which is
big.
cool.
That's in Pennsylvania as well, or is that here? That's a
It's
Jersey
here,
thing. Okay,
yeah.
I'm thinking of Elizabethtown, PA, but okay, that's a gas company here in New Jersey.
They're local still. And then he has the Elizabethtown Water Company, and he's just kind of in a bunch of different businesses.
Wild.
He's involved in everything.
Wild. All right.
Yeah.
So that kind of now, who did they name the university after? Like
Us.
okay.
Well, us, I say the King family.
Okay, got it. Because we
So
sit here right on this adjacent property to New Jersey's probably biggest state school. I mean, if you Rutgers is a land grant school. I mean, Kean's a big NJ.
Kean
state
just
school.
keeps like expanding and expanding. So how Kean University came about? So that actually was our land.
Mhm.
We had 120 acres at one point. So there was Ursino Farm over here, and then about like early 1900s, it was the Green Lane Farm over there. So
Okay.
Hamilton Fish Kean, who is a son of Colonel John Kean, he comes into that property after his father passes away, and he decides to make his own farm.
Okay.
So around 1950s, I want to say, the farm started to just become like too much for the family.
So it stayed in that Colonel John Kean family through to the 50s.
That property, yeah, because it passed to Hamilton Fish Cane, and then when Hamilton Fish Cane dies, Mary Alice and Captain John Kane, who are the last people to live here, other than their children, they take over the property. So it just became too much, and then they sold it to the New York State Teachers College. So that college wanted to like expand, so then they go across the street, and eventually we just started to, I guess, sell off like the land, I guess, to say.
Well, and now we're here today as a museum and archive, and
Yeah.
like which is what's really cool is like you're saying, like your job is archiving all this material, making it available so that people can do their research here. Come and see primary documentation.
Yes. And every day we're discovering new things, which is super exciting because, you know, the condition that some of these documents are in, it like kind of makes you cry because you're like, why is it in plastic? It's not supposed to be in plastic. But then it's like exciting when we read the stuff and we're learning more about the family that we didn't know before, or just finding random things like the guy talking about the Civil War. We're like, oh, this is actually
really
great.
Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah.
That because like there's no real discussion of that. You would think we were far away from all the battles, but they didn't know that. They didn't know how close it was going to get or where it was going to happen or what was. Yeah. Well, thank you for your insight, Kayla. I really appreciate you coming on.
I did a good job.
You did a great job. Yeah. All right. We'll get back to some more agronomy talk plants, all the nature side, because it's a written museum and a living museum here. Like you have the actual property.
Yeah. And one more thing about like archives. So last week we found this document, which I showed Jeff. It's a seed list that you could purchase seeds from 1810 down in Burlington. So there's little notes about like how many they wanted. So maybe some of the ones that we have here that are old enough came from their
product catalog. What's cool, so what year was that?
1810.
What's probably pretty cool is that we're pretty much still doing it the same way. You know, there's still product catalogs that come out that talk about the different seed blends available and the different things, and it's what we do. All right, well, thank you, Kayla.
You're welcome.
All right. So Kayla was good, really good. What great kind of cool tidbits about you. One thing, just because she just was talking about it, what's this American chestnut? That's something you've been taking care of for the last 28 years.
Yeah, unfortunately she's been in some decline, as everything, of that age seems to be.
Okay. But it's like a 300-year-old tree.
Yeah. But we did have the benefit of having the DEP, New Jersey DEP, involved with trying to collect some seeds from it. Oh, that was probably about 5-6 years ago. And one thing led to another. We're going to start this like heritage tree program. It might gain traction when I come back, but at that particular time, they had amassed about 120 seedlings of the tree, and they were looking to rehome, so they reached out to us, and now we got them back. And Megan's been working on trying to sell them, fundraise with them.
So you had to go get all these.
We had to go pick them up down in Jackson from their nursery location, and brought them all back, and now they sit in in the garden. We have a cold frame. It's the home of them right now.
Now, tell me, you said you were successful with planting some of these on the property here.
Right.
But tell me about the actual clone that.
Oh, so we have a terrific friend from Union County College. He's a biology professor over there, Tom Umbrella.
Okay, which is right down the road here.
Right over in Cranford.
Yeah, we're in Union, New Jersey. That's the same county right down the road.
Yep. So he's actually the one who kind of did our initial tree inventory back in '99. I think it was done. Kind of didn't have anything of the property at the time. So we kind of remained in contact over the years. and he offered his services to try to clone the tree from cuttings that we bring to him. He grafts them onto the rootstock, whether it be the offspring that we have, or he has some horse chestnut off,
I'm calling it American chestnut. It's horse chestnut, isn't it?
Yes.
Horse chestnut.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, correct me, man. I don't know what the heck. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, okay, so he grafted like, what part of the plant did he go for? He took a cutting of
so
the actual horse
we
chestnut?
just bring them fresh, 1 year growth cuttings off the, horse chestnuts always kind of push out sucker growth near the base. And we just kind of collect, rule of thumb is you don't want it bigger than like a thickness of a pencil. And as long as you're giving them like, anywhere from, minimum of like 2-inch to maybe 4 or 5 inch in length. And we just kind of try to get them like, at least a dozen. And it's a very, very difficult tree to get it to take from the graft. We had one that didn't quite overwinter for us. This last one that he provided with us 2 years ago is planted right in the ground, and she's thriving.
Yeah, she's doing well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, cool. So you got that going. You got all these other heritage trees that you've taken inventory of. It's funny, Kayla like mentioned the archiving, like basically like it sounds like the mission statement of Liberty Hall is like preserve, where you're preserving.
Right.
So yeah, you've done the work of taking other heritage trees from around the state, and you're preserving them and also offer them back out to the public.
Right.
It's cool. It's really
in the state registry with the that's started by the DEP. And Megan can talk about that. We have 7 trees that are acknowledged on the property that are in the program, the Big Tree Registry, I think they call it.
The Big Tree Registry. Okay. And 7 of them came right from here.
No, 7 of them are on the list.
Oh,
so
yeah.
There's like a database. I don't know if you know the website offhand, but it's New Jersey Big Tree. I think if you do that, like a Google search, it'll come up.
All right. Very interesting. Well, cool. Now let's talk some more about the property, like more kind of gardens. You mentioned earlier, so you guys did a lot of work over the winter in the orchard, right? Tell us about the project.
So we're always trying to think of ways to kind of like, with the grounds especially, we're always trying to think of ways to try to like, make the grounds better. And we offer our apple orchard, which consisted of like 25, 30 trees. We have a pick your own in the fall. So, and it's kind of always tough to kind of gauge what we're going to be dealing with environmentally. We don't have, the real proper irrigation to try to, control that we have a good product in the fall. So we kind of thought of like, what can we do with the orchard and definitely have something that's more controllable on our end to have it appealing for the pick your own type crowd. You know what I mean? Being where we are, everywhere's, you'd have to head out west.
You're right.
Or north.
You'd have to go back out where we live.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or up in north, across the state border and into New York.
Right. So this is one of the few pick your own locations in Union County.
Yep.
All right.
Not the only, I think.
Yeah.
Which is why they go in about a weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, once we, ring the gong that says it's apple season, that's it. It's
boom.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, what is the general weekend around here? I guess it depends on the year.
On the weather.
What have you found?
Somewhere in like mid-September.
Mid-September. I mean, there's a few varieties that could be ready in August, but it's not really worth it to offer it at that time because we just don't have the supply.
Well, now, so tell me, because now things have changed a little bit. So tell us, you got the new plants.
We got the new plants. Megan kind of was daunted with the task of selecting them. We found the nursery out in Adams County, PA.
Adams County, PA.
Seems to be the heart of apple.
Ooh, I'm going to write that one down, dude. Adams County, PA. At first I just want to see where that is. It must be out west.
There's a apple harvest festival that they do out there in Biglersville that is just
Biglersville.
fantastic. And that's
Okay.
kind of like what spurred this idea on, is going out there, and then like wheels got turning.
So yeah, bunch of new apple trees in the ground, and this will be the first fall of harvest. Will they push fruit?
So I'll let Megan talk
Well,
to that.
you said that, so that they're not supposed to.
Okay.
They're 2-year buds, but they're not supposed to, but they are. I think they're pretty happy in the ground right now. So,
Nice.
like Jeff was saying, we've doubled now the orchard. So we were at about 50 apple trees, and now we're a little over 100.
Great.
And then 5 peaches in there. So that's super exciting. We also have there's a little bit of history down there too from the professor, Tom.
Yes.
One down there. He knows more of the history with that one.
We have an Indian blood cling peach. Blood cling.
Okay.
Yeah, that is actually a cutting from Monticello, where Jefferson's.
Yes, down in
Yep.
Charlottesville.
Yep.
All right, man.
So Tom has over at Union County, he has a historic tree grove that he's gone around the country, whether they be, witness trees or, trees from prominent historic sites. And he just has amassed a huge collection. And I think there's 3 or 4 varieties from here that are over there as well.
Tom should be a friend of EarthWorks as well. I got to meet him.
Yeah.
And he sounds like an interesting guy.
He is terrific. Yeah.
He helps us out, but I mean, we try and help him out.
Oh.
And we, bring the history from everywhere else here while also maintaining our own.
Yeah, big time. This is really cool work. And like, I think also like grounds manager people don't necessarily see this path. Like, think about kids getting into this. Like, you wouldn't see the path that like grounds management is also living museum stuff. Like, you can truly take care of museum pieces in this job. So all right, so let's see, EarthWorks wise, we started working together 2 years ago, was it? Okay. Yep. And now, did you use some product in the transplants, in the planting of these trees? I bet you did.
Oh yeah.
I know you did.
So yeah, everything was some core drilling. We deal with some drainage issues down there. It is set up on swales, but there is some drainage issues. So the Ecolite was definitely incorporated in 333.
Yes, the
on the planting. So yeah,
you went with those two in the holes, and Ecolite was all part of, like you're saying, moisture management.
Yep. So that was broadcasted through as well.
Okay, great. So that all went in. Just to help the listeners out, like what was your rule of thumb? Or because these are the sort of questions we get, like, well, how much do I use? How much that? And it's like, well, you can kind of throw it around, you can kind of chicken feed it, but did you have a rule of thumb as you were planting?
I mean, if we broadcast, I think you always mentioned 10 pounds.
That's right.
Per 1,000 with the 333. The Ecolite, being that this is the first year, I pretty much followed what your product label was on that.
Which is 10 to 25.
Yeah.
Like, it depends.
I know it gives you a little broader range.
A nice window. And then in the hole on the Myco, did you go in the hole with the tree?
Absolutely,
yeah. And you probably did that. Were you thinking about it per inch on the sides of the tree, or just based on the root ball?
Yeah, they're relative. Well, they're a bare root, so they're relatively small. So it's like, I think it was like maybe a half a cup.
Yeah, really, it's not much.
Yeah,
like a handful that we were doing.
And then once they were set, they were all watered in with C3.
Yes. Now C3 has been a big product for you all over the property. Really.
Yep. This year, we went with the drum size.
The drum.
So it's been in
every,
just as you guys, advertise it. It's been in every tank.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You do that maintenance rate, 1% solution every tank, and so let's talk like programs on like your big kind of heritage trees. You have how many applications annually is that?
So the heritage trees, we usually do like the 333 around the drip line, and then in the later spring, early summer, we kind of go out as a drench with the C3.
Yeah, that's
and just kind of just drench in, 50 gallons, depending on how big the tree is. It might
Yeah.
be 75.
Right. But 1 gallon of product.
Correct.
In that.
Correct.
Yes.
1%.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, cool. You have Jack doing a lot of those. He's another friend of EarthWorks
Yep.
we gotta talk to.
Yep.
Yeah. But okay, let's move to the roses. And if you're watching, you could probably see that we got the rose garden in the background here. This is kind of like a prize of the property, right?
Yep. It's a very like desirable area for all wedding ceremonies. We hold a lot of wedding.
Yeah, oh yeah, we didn't even really talk about like the business of Liberty Hall. What does Liberty Hall do on a daily basis?
That's a really good question. That is a really good question.
So April 1, the wheels fall off, and the school trips are
Everyone
just
goes around
relentless.
like chicken without a head. That's what we do.
Wow, love it.
Yeah.
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 It sounds like many jobs to tell you, you know, like, well, yeah, okay. So yeah, we're here doing the podcast, and there's kids all over the place.
Yeah.
It makes our job a little challenging, but
It's field trip season.
Yeah.
yes.
You do field trips in the fall and the spring?
And the winter, and there's not supposed to be a school. There's
Wow.
just kids all the time.
Always.
Yeah, the
I like
prime
it.
season for the school trips is April 1 to when school gets out.
Yeah,
And
Father's
sometimes
Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It picks up again in the fall, but spring is every day upwards of 100 kids, 100 plus kids every day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they do history like what Kayla told us. They also they walk the whole property, right?
Yep.
Do you guys get involved on the field trip side?
No.
Okay.
No.
I saw
We'd never have time to do
I
anything.
saw that reaction. No, you don't.
It's actually in our job description at the bottom. It says we are not
No
we are
field
not
trips.
to be involved in field trips.
Well, if you have 2 people, sometimes 3, taking care of this whole property, yeah, you can't. And this is the prime work day. Like the field trips are here all in the prime
Field trips are here during the week, and then wedding season really picks up mid-May.
Yeah.
And right now is pretty much like the prime time because everybody wants the blooms as their backdrop.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes into a lull, and then it's fall foliage. So
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are your times.
And with the ceremonies, like, so we have a tent behind us, like that goes up for the season. That's, the dedicated spot for the receptions. Ceremonies, however, can be anywhere on the property.
Wow.
They can, so that.
Do you get heads up on that? Do they
Sure,
give
yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
They say like, hey, you're gonna have to dress this area up. We're doing the ceremony over
Mhm.
here. Okay, cool.
Sometimes you just got, with the wet season that we have, some things got to be shifted up on the fly. But fortunately, the area in front of the rose garden relatively stays dry.
Mm-hmm.
That's
This
no
where we're
arguments
at
would
right
happen.
here is prime wedding season area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You could do a ceremony on this lawn behind us with the roses in the background, the whole thing. Now, when I walked up today on this same location, I'm like on the phone with you at the gate, and I'm like, dude, there's a red tail that's like just flew in looking huge hawk with a whole swarm of birds behind him, chasing him around, and landed right here on this lawn. You were coming at it from the other angle and said, oh yeah, I see it. And and you could tell us, yeah, like
It's amazing, like where we are and the amount of like diverse wildlife that we have here. It's crazy.
yeah,
like,
because it's very urban where we are.
Yep.
Yep. You guys are a major like green space oasis in an urban environment.
Yep.
Okay, but you, in spite of it being urban, you get all the wildlife.
And we're wildlife lovers, so we're rescuing,
Oh,
whether they're
man.
orphans or injured. There's a Woodlands Wildlife is out my way in Pittstown.
Okay.
Was like a steady customer there for a little while.
Joel's from Pittstown. Joel, the president of EarthWorks. Well, he spent 10 years living in Pittstown. Now he lives in Lambertville, but he's a Hunterdon County guy.
Yep.
So yeah, they get all your work. The Pittstown.
Yep. We've brought a couple raccoons, a couple fox kits. Raptor Trust is another one for
over at the Great Swamp.
Great Swamp.
I've been there. That's a cool place.
Yep. So any injured birds have gone there.
Well, this raptor was thriving because
he thrive around.
Yeah, he had a mockingbird in its claws, and then you filled me in. It was like then all the 20 birds following it were the mockingbird family.
Yeah, he went and perched himself up on our ice house building, and everybody was just watching him just kind of pose there for 5 minutes.
Yeah, a whole class of 6th graders got like a great lesson in anatomy of a bird.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that is fun and exciting stuff. You said fox kits? You've been handling fox kits?
Fox kits come.
What time of year do they get born?
In about middle of April generally.
Okay.
This is actually the first year that we did not normally we actually hear them or the mother. Yeah, normally we hear that and we kind of our attention goes to that, but we didn't hear that this year. We know that it existed because we have a camera that kind of picked them up.
Okay.
But we like to feed the animals around here. But
yeah,
I mean, this was the first time that we didn't really see them going around much.
Foxes do sound so weird at night. They sound like kids. It's really frightening.
Yeah.
Like,
they're frolicking in the orchard, and it just sounds like they're just, it sounds like they're like something's going on, like they're fighting.
It sounds like a kid is getting hurt.
It's stress.
Yeah, it's a scary sound. But yeah, foxes have been thriving in the last decade, I'd say. When I was a kid, I never saw foxes, and now you see them all the time.
This used to be before the university really started building up, because we're kind of like at the back end of like a kind of like a corporate plaza here.
Okay.
It used to be a hot spot for like people that dump rabbits. People would buy these rabbits for Easter, and then
they take them to work.
Then they have to take care of them, and so yeah, I've had 2 pet rabbits from here for over the years. Megan found 2 years ago the homing pigeon.
Kevin? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a homing pigeon landed on one of our windowsill of our carriage house. He's in my breezeway now in a beautiful cage.
Whoa! What is a homing pigeon?
The white racing pigeons.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
They're supposed to return back to where they came from.
Yeah, and actually they have anklets on them that you can track back to who they belong to.
Okay.
So once I was able to track it back to the party that he belonged to, had no interest in wanting him, probably because he didn't make his way back. So
no, we don't. No. The ones that don't come back, we don't want them back. That's really funny.
He's an excellent pet. I gotta say that. And any chance that we get, if we ever see on Facebook or anything like that, my wife is always like, if you get a chance to grab him, they make wonderful pets.
Okay, that's cool.
We're trying to get one to make its way over here.
Well, what makes him a good pet? Like, what does he do?
Every time I come home, he greets me. He does a little dance.
Hey, you're home.
They're very talkative.
Does he come out of the cage at all?
Yeah, I mean, I have dogs and cats, so I got to make sure that they're put away. But
there's a cat from here too.
Okay, yeah, total animal sanctuary.
We let him loose. No, I don't let him outside. I don't want to.
The homing pigeon.
You're right.
Okay,
so he stays in the.
Make his way back here.
Actually, come to think of it, I'm now recalling being on the public course in Passaic County, the Passaic County golf course. Vinny Spano's been on the podcast. Preakness Valley. He's got a crew member that raises pigeons. Maybe it was his.
I mean, it's real popular in the area, especially when you get in more towards the city.
Yes, very popular. Like there's leagues and there's like it's all tournaments, all things involved. Yep. Okay, cool. That's really cool. All right, so you had all this wildlife sitch here. I was coming back to the roses because the roses are the highlight. You mentioned they're English roses?
English roses. So the ones behind us, yes, are all English roses.
Okay, what's special about English roses?
Their fragrance, just their old time like fashion. This actually rose garden was kind of re-inspired or recreated after there was a rose garden here in the early 1900s. that's what we would need Kayla for the family
Sure.
member name.
Well, but she kind of went through. That would have been was it Captain?
Yes.
The Captain Kane's family.
And the thing is with the Canes is they kept everything. So if there's drawings, photographs, they kept everything. And it's, I mean, it makes Kayla's job a lot more difficult, but actually a lot more rewarding because she's always finding new stuff and she always brings them to us. Like, so if it's old seed list, so if there's something that we can find off of that, bring back to the property, oh, that's
the primo for this.
Yeah.
And all right, so you've got, this was inspired by like another rose garden, but you've been very successful with this one.
Yep.
And this is one that we're also really excited about because you've gone full in on the C3 program in this garden.
We're following the regimen that you had given me 2 years ago, following it to a T. So early spring, core drilling around each shrub. 333
getting, so yeah, I call that vertimulching, I think is the term, but yes, it's basically just accessing down to the root system around each bush and getting the myco down in there.
Yep.
Okay, so you do that every spring.
Yep. Water them in with the C3 and then 545 broadcast right around now, like early June.
Perfect.
Mid-June.
Yeah, as like to help through the summer.
Yep. C3 drenching every month.
Yes. Yeah, that continues every month.
And then the C3 is incorporated to our fungicide and or insecticide spraying. Every tank that goes out. So fungicide is
every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. We're alternating product.
Yeah, so it's a robust program. I mean, that's what we're after here. And you guys say when we're not even at full bud yet here, or rather we're not at full bloom, we're at full bud. There's like, when looking at it, there's like thousands. There's like thousands of buds ready to open up right now.
Yep.
And amongst, how many bushes are there? Do you know?
So in each bed, there's
55.
And there's 4 beds.
Yeah, damn. Okay, so 220 bushes.
Plus the front of each split rail has 10. Yeah. So and another 20 on there.
And the climbers up over the trellis.
Yeah, and then you also have the ice house, and then the climbers on the trellis.
That climber on the back side's doing way better than the climber on the front side.
It's a little bit older.
Okay.
And we're gonna change out the one in the front.
Okay, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a little sensitive about that.
I could tell. I could tell. I didn't know if it was a sun thing, shade thing, but yes, if it's an older plant, that's what it is. All right. So the when they fully open up, I got to get back here in the next week or two and smell. You said the fragrant, like these are really fragrant. That's kind of part of it.
Yep.
And that's a big allure to the wedding season, to the whole
just
thing.
In general, just visiting public. Yeah.
Actually I can smell them right now. Like,
yes, you can.
Yeah, you smell it too. Yeah. All right. The wind just changed a little bit. Okay, so let's talk finances, I guess, is a question. Like, you tell me whatever you can, but how is this place funded?
So the Kean family is actually, they're still run by a foundation.
Okay.
Primarily Kean family members.
Okay.
And fortunately they're still very active.
Sure. In business and everything. Is that what you mean? They're very active? Like they
active in the museum.
Okay, so got it.
Our president, John Kean, is 95 years old.
Wow. He was the guy that was leaving when we were walking up.
Oh, I didn't see.
Okay. He was driving out.
Yes. We moved over.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So he was the former president of Elizabethtown Gas.
Okay.
That was his company.
Oh yeah, Kayla brought up Elizabethtown Gas. Yeah.
That's not in the Kean family anymore, but he's
okay. Got it. Yeah. So he's still the president of Liberty Hall, of the board of directors.
So
here.
He actually grew up in the house.
Wow.
So he's the key to, like, if you have a question about something,
he's been here.
He's been here.
He's been here his whole life. He knows it.
Yep.
That's great. Okay, so they're now, like, weddings, like the weddings, it's a business. They're running it as a business, I imagine, right? Okay, yep. So like, who does the couple pay to have their wedding here?
Liberty Hall Museum.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. All right. So this is cool. It's like it serves a bunch of purposes. It's like, I guess it's performing as like a business, but also a museum and everything, and a green space. And what about the apple picking? Do they pay to come and pick apples?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. This place is really awesome.
The school trips is kind of like what our key. I mean, the weddings are nice. Don't get me wrong. The school visits are our key to self-sustaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're generating
The
revenue
education,
every
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably affordable for the schools to come here and they get a great field trip. But yes, that's the way you keep the cash
I mean,
register going.
yeah. Even when I started here, because I had started here before we even opened up to the public, that was kind of like the focus was the education aspect.
Mm-hmm.
We always had the grounds here. It was kind of like not overlooked, but never really got the full attention that the potential that it had.
Mm-hmm.
Was it 5 years ago now?
After COVID is when
We tried to.
sorry. We started to we tried to put more focus into the grounds because people weren't going inside.
A place like this during COVID is like, this is a gold mine,
right?
For
And people are like, "Oh, I don't really know this place existed," and blah blah blah. So then you're like, "What can we do about that?" And that's when we started to shift gears and went towards the Arboretum thing. Is what you were?
Yeah.
So that's when we kind of shifted gears and went towards the Arboretum accreditation.
Okay.
And so that's in March of 2021 is when we became accredited as an Arboretum.
And what does that do for you?
It gives you more exposure. So we're at a level 2, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong. Or
no, go ahead.
No, it'd probably be easier for you to just
So we just
say
have
what a level 2 is.
No. So we have to have a minimum of 100 different varieties of trees and woody ornamentals. You have to have a slew, which is what we have, of educational programming. You have to have your stuff documented in a database, so we have that. What else am I missing?
I think that's it. And then Megan kind of oversees the plant collection now. Is that accessible to anyone online?
That is not currently. It's kind of almost just like an Excel, more or less, but we have a bunch of QR codes around our trees and stuff. That stuff is accessible to the public.
Yeah, everyone should check out Liberty Hall. Google Liberty Hall, libertyhall.com maybe? I don't know.
It's Liberty Hall. What is it? It's libertyhall.edu.
Kean.edu.
Oh, you don't like that? No.
That's why you forget it,
Oh man. Yeah, because you guys are your own separate thing here from the university. Like, this is a really unique, cool property. Obviously, this is what we're looking at here is old stable house. It has to be, right? The shape.
The wagon shed, yeah.
Oh, the wagon shed, yeah.
So like this would have been added on to over the years. The original core has it's a hit and miss engine from like 1910.
Oh, you showed me this.
Yeah.
So what is a hit and miss engine?
It only cycles like every 4 revolutions. It'll pop. So it's an auto. I don't know what the horsepower is. It might be like 7 horsepower. So they would have had different farm implements that they would have positioned in front or back. Could have run a saw. Could have ran like a thrasher. Type of stuff when they're
right.
Just the farming.
Yeah. You also have you have that 1910 engine. You have old tractors here. This is a steam engine tractor, right?
Yeah. We have. It's like a 1957 Massey Ferguson, and the nice thing about that is you have all the paperwork when it was bought brand new.
Oh wow!
Yeah. One of the Kean family members, when he passed, was a big fire collector.
Okay,
loved all the old trucks, all the memorabilia. So they built a replica firehouse in his honor.
Yeah,
or memory.
Yeah, really nice. And you have a couple old engines in there.
Yeah, so there's a 1928 and a 1929 from a Union and Elizabeth. They were actually
Wow.
from Union Elizabeth Fire Departments.
Oh, that's so cool.
When the building had opened up, there was a picture way back of the couple guys that we were able to bring back of their grandfather sitting on those trucks when they were active, and then they had, I think it was grandkids that went down to, were actually sitting on the trucks when the firehouse opened.
My grandfather was a post World War II fireman, career fireman in Harrison, up in Hudson County. But I'm thinking, like, if he started on the fire department in like 46, 47, they probably had 20-year-old engines there that were those engines, 28, 29 engines.
There's actually a 1911 steamer that would have been horse drawn in there, and that is like, I think there's only a handful of them in that condition in the country.
Wow. Yeah, this is a really remarkable museum. Like, because it encompasses so much, like so many different things, Got the founding fathers aspect to the whole thing, like revolutionary time. But you also like don't have many farm museums, especially in an urban area like this. Like, where this is a historical, like, kind of time capsule of like a gentleman farm. Right here in Union County.
And the fact that they never got rid of anything. So like the building behind us, the carriage house, is just loaded with items, with stuff. So, you try to think of ways that you can bring that stuff back where, people can see and appreciate it. So like, even like the wagon shed, right now it's primarily storage, just a couple bays, like where the auto engine is. And then there's a Model T truck that would have been, an early service vehicle for Elizabethtown Gas. So we have 2 bays that are kind of designated for display, but it'd be nice if we could kind of create more space, whether it be for like woodworking, blacksmith,
because they did all that here. They did everything.
Yep.
Are there any kind of we've talked the school trips and like we talked the apple picking, talked the arboretum. Is there any like dedicated community field day sort of open house days here? Like is there something that someone should be on the lookout to like come here this time of year? We do a whole weekend of field day.
So we have this group. What's the group that's from New York? That's at the last 2 days they've had the garden days.
The Garden Conservancy.
Yeah.
They come in June. That's it's like 25 people who to sign up for it, and they kind of it's almost like an open house thing.
Right. Where you check everything out.
Yeah, they do. So that's it's almost like a reservation only, and actually people come from like New Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and that's like people that are really interested in history, but also gardens. So I know that a couple staff members, they'll do a lot of history, but then obviously a lot of garden stuff.
Do you guys get involved in that?
No. Really
I'm putting you on the spot.
Really try and just like maintain ourselves to just,
I hear you.
Stuff, just because
I totally get it.
If needed,
yeah. Really
I get it. I know.
People want to know where the bathrooms are. That's when we point.
I know.
But that's new for us, the Garden Conservancy thing. So we try and when they give us a couple dates for that, we try and say, when we're in a good bloom.
All right. Love it.
But then we also do have different things just like for just families. I mean, as far as like bigger events that when it's not, weddings or school trips, the museum, or we'll say that the visitor center, there are like bigger events. Like we have a whole pumpkin event. We have just events.
We have a pumpkin patch.
Those things like that.
The
That
Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, like
people from around the area come in.
Know about those ones. So that's like a couple hundred people.
Yes.
During the weekend. So those ones are like big ones for us.
That people lay eyes on the place and know what's here. And the apple picking too. It sounds big.
Yes, that one is actually pretty big.
And it's getting bigger.
Yes.
Will you let them take apples off the new trees this year if they're there, or do you want to like hold off, or what? I don't know.
I
guess.
I mean, we probably would hold off.
Yeah.
Just to make sure, we don't want anybody something to happen to the trees. But actually, you bring up, segue into more activities with the apple orchard. We were actually able to coordinate with Rutgers to do a pruning workshop here. Orchard.
Wow.
So they were so happy with it. So we're hoping that we can do this as an annual thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's great, man. I think and I'm happy that we were all able to sit down for this chat. Because now we're documenting what we do together here, and we're getting it documented. It'll be forever recorded here on the podcast, and we can check back as well and see how these trees are doing year 2, 3, 4, how they're producing. And I'm really excited about the C3 involved in all of that, because well, first of all, I just love that product. And it'll grow some nice apples. It'll do some good work.
Your enthusiasm's contagious, man.
That's good. That's good.
I gotta tell you, it's so cool when you come over, because it's we work here every day, so it's it's easy to kind of lose sight. Sometimes if somebody comes in and kind of
you look around here, it's whoa, wow, this is really awesome. Oh, I didn't even mention the lawns. The lawns are really wonderful, dense, dude. And you need that for pulling in parties and field trips and stuff. If you're walking around and it's crabgrass and bare soil, it's it doesn't set the mood that you're setting here. That's for sure.
Following your regimen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Remind me, what is that there?
822.
That's
early spring.
Mm-hmm.
Around April 1 to April 15.
Yep.
Hit it again 545.
Yeah, as a summer prep, I think probably right around now.
Yep. And then either 545 again in late summer, or typically that's when we're trying to do our overseeding. So that would be 333.
Perfect.
And then putting her to bed with 822 in October.
And it's been about 2 years of that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
excellent.
We should, like I said, we should have some
we're pulling soil test.
And then
all right, good.
Yeah.
Hey man. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Thank you, Kayla. We'll have to do right by Kayla, because her piece was really cool. Yeah. This was a great day, and all the kids are out here having fun. Everyone got to hear. Maybe you heard all the sirens come through. Really, no.
Don't forget that you're
in the city. Yeah, we're in the city, man. Union.
There are nice bells in the background.
Yeah, where are the bells from?
Carriage house. There's it's just a PA system.
Okay.
It's, one of the Kean family members. He heard it somewhere, loved it. It's been there since we opened up.
I love it too. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Good talk.
Take care.
Thank you, everybody.